Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Make sure you lot are smashed up the lights as always. Make sure you lot are subscribing to the channel. Road to 10K. We're nearly on 5K, people. We're going to get there. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get there, like I said. But today, we're joined by a man like Dave. You know what I'm saying? Big Forest fan. Knows his football. You know, home and away. He's there every single week. He's there every single week. So I thought I'd bring him on here. Because last season, people, we lost at the bridge. And Dave was there.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Done,
Dave
yes.
was there.
Yeah. Very enjoyable day, Dom, that.
Oh, mate, listen, that day was I was absolutely fuming because I remember that game. That's the game when Poch literally started two attackers, Caicedo in the midfield for the goal. He gave the ball away, and then it bounced back to Elanga. Elanga ends up scoring. We couldn't break down that low block. Jackson missed an open goal, if you remember that one as well.
He did. Do you know what, Dom? We were behind the goal on the upper level. And I swear that when Nicholas Jackson hit that ball, and he could have been about 3 or 4 yards out from the goal, the ball kind of came vertically up and past us. I don't know how he did it.
Mate,
but yeah, it was I mean, to be honest, Don, we've had two good days our last 2 trips to the bridge because we drew 2-2 the first year we came back up, and then obviously we won last year. So we'll see what transpires this Sunday, mate.
Who scored in that game when we finished 12th for you lot? Because I remember when we played you lot away, it was Aurier that scored for you guys. But who scored at the bridge?
Taiwo scored both. Taiwo won. You got both goals, mate.
Yes. How can I
with
forget?
Headers. Yeah.
Oh.
Good game. That was quite a back and forth game. That Raheem scored twice for you, and Taiwo scored twice for us. And in fact, I thought Raheem was the best. Raheem was brilliant that day.
No, he was. But yeah, like I said, people, listen, we're gonna get into it now. Listen, Dave, what have you kind of thought about your season so far? Obviously, you've got Nuno now. The other week you beat Liverpool. You know, when I watched you lot against Brighton last week as well, I can see that you lot are still playing that low block and then trying to counter teams with the pace, with the likes of Hudson-Odoi, with the likes of Elanga playing up there. What have you thought about the start to your season so far, bro?
Well, to be honest with you, Don, it's better than I imagined. I mean, for us to be sat here, you know, we've only lost 1 game in 6 now in the league. It is way beyond what I imagine. I get a bit of stick on shows, Don. All I want, my base point is let Forest be 17th. You know, let's be at least 17th and try and work ahead from that. Where I think we are now is I think we might be aiming just that little bit higher now. And we may have a season with a little less relegation stress than we've had the last 2 seasons. So I do feel that we've improved. I was asked this question last night on 12th Man. Dan Potts put the question to me, and I said I think Forest are better than they have been the last 2 seasons. The extent of that.
Why do you think you're better?
I think Nuno is beginning now. He's had a close season. He's had time to work with the players. He's trimmed the squad. He said at various points throughout the back end of last season, from when he took over just before Christmas, he said the squad was bloated. He had too many individuals. I think he's trimmed it. I mean, it's almost perverse, really, Don. He's trimmed the squad, but he seems to have more options. I saw a lovely graphic a few weeks ago, maybe before the start of the season, where it looked like basically they had a Forest 11, but they had another player for each position underneath. So it seems like Forest have just got themselves more organised. The transfer strategy hasn't been as scattergun as it was the last 2 seasons. And we were the joke about 30 signings 2 seasons ago. When we basically Forest policy was, can the person breathe? Yes, sign them. You know. Whereas I think this time, you know, we brought Elliot Anderson, which has proved to be a good signing. Nikola Milenkovic, who I think has been excellent since he come in, for 12 million from Fiorentina, is a really good buy. And
what position is he?
He's a centre half, mate, and he'll play on Sunday. He's that good, Don. Him. Without bigging him up too much, you know. I'm worried about bigging him up.
Big him up, man. Big him up.
Yeah.
Do your job, Dave, man.
What I would say about him is Milenkovic, you don't really notice what he's doing. But similarly, so if you're not noticing what he's doing, you're kind of not noticing him making mistakes. He seems to kind of go through a game relatively anonymous, but he seems to pop up in the right place and time. And I think he's made Murillo a better player alongside him.
Murillo's good. We was looking at him.
Yeah. I mean, Murillo, he's quite a character. He'll shoot from anywhere, and he's typically Brazilian. But Milenkovic brings that little bit of organisation and discipline alongside him, and I think the two of them have formed a really, really good partnership. I just think Yeah, I think we're going in the right direction. I mean, obviously, this is a tough task for us on Sunday, you know, coming off the back of the defeat against Fulham. But generally, I mean, the Liverpool game, we were quite brilliant, I thought. Not spectacular, but quite. I mean, for the Liverpool fans, Don, to be walking out with 20 minutes to go and it's still only 1-0 to Forest, it came across to me that Liverpool didn't trust that their sports didn't trust that Liverpool could break Forest down. And Forest actually comfortably managed that game out. I mean, to be honest with you, Liverpool walked alone at the end of that game. Because Liverpool fans, honestly, mate, our lot was singing, "Is there a fire drill?" Because there was that many piling up.
Even that early?
Yeah, it was. I mean, Callum scored after. I think there were 18 minutes to the match there, plus however much was added on. So there were another. And how many times have Liverpool conjured up great wins at Anfield from seemingly hopeless positions? But that day, the Liverpool fans seemed to have no confidence that they could turn it round and beat Forest. So that was good. We were good at Southampton. We could have beaten Wolves and Bournemouth in the first two home games. Really, the only game where we've not shown anything. I mean, at Brighton, I thought Brighton were the better team, but we broke their high line to get an equaliser and could have nicked it. Yeah. Well, that game last week, mate. Yeah, I don't think the game this week will be like that because Nuno for sure. Don, I don't think Nuno's going to play a high line. He'll say, "Look what Brighton did." I mean, you know, Brighton are probably exciting to watch, but they did leave themselves open to that counter, and the fact that, to my way of thinking, Don, the best player in the league at the moment, the best individual footballer in the Premier League at the moment, tore them to shreds. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think we're a work in progress, but it's a work in progress that has made progress from the last two seasons. So I'm I'm cautiously optimistic that we won't be in a relegation scrap quite as much as we have been the last two seasons. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I think you lot are gonna stay up this year, man. I think I like the fact that you've obviously given Hudson-Odoi the opportunity. He's you know, scored some really important goals for you. Like last year when we played you lot away, when we picked up form, I know we beat you, but he scored in that game. You know, we needed Reece James to come off the bench, bro, to help us.
You know, that game at the City Ground, Don, was a cracking good football match. If you were a neutral, you would have enjoyed it because it went back and forth. You know, it was a bit Chelsea, then it was a bit Forest, and it was a really good game. And on the subject of Callum Hudson-Odoi, I've got great affection for Callum because you know, he came to us at a time when his career had sort of gone down a notch. I mean, when he was at Chelsea, he was going to be the next big thing, and lots of money was offered for him. He came to us, you know, and he's on a recovery mission in his career. And I remember meeting him, Don. Actually, we played an EFL Trophy game at Harrogate Town last season, and Callum was it was his first week in at Forest, so he went and he got some game time against Harrogate. And me and Dor met him off the bus, right?
Oh, really?
Outside Harrogate's ground. It's a lovely little ground in Yorkshire. And we said to him, you know, it's really good to have you here, Callum. We really hope you do well. We're going to root for you all the way. And he was so sweet. He said, "I'll just do my very best for you. I'll give you everything I've got." And Callum Hudson-Odoi's humility and his ability to keep his feet on the ground and work hard is what is endearing him to the Forest fans. And he's really popular amongst us. He said a couple of weeks ago on Forest TV, he said, "I haven't got my own chant yet." Lo and behold, he scores at Anfield. And at the end of the game at Anfield, they're chanting his name and whatever. And he's a really good lad.
How's the song go? What's the song like?
It's something. I think it's a song called American Boy or something like that. And it says, "Super Callum Hudson-Odoi, Hudson-Odoi," or whatever. You know what I mean? I
think I know what you're referring to.
Don't I'm nearly 1,000 years old, mate. It's not my generation, but we sang it at Brighton. And Callum, the lovely lad that he is, Callum, he kind of stood there. He kind of quite shyly applauded, and he kind of and he's got that bond.
He's a good guy, man. Honestly, like, look,
he is a good guy.
Yeah, coming through the academy, he was killing it. I used to call him a goal machine, right? A goal freak, right?
Absolutely,
and I used to tell all my boys all the time, listen, you lot watch out for this Hudson-Odoi guy. He's killing it in the academy right now, right?
Yeah.
Goal after goal after goal, and it was that same finesse shot where he cuts in, right foot, right? That was his bag. And obviously injuries happen, and you know, I remember Bayern Munich tried to come in for him. I think they offered 70 million or something at the time, 60 million. We ended up keeping him.
Yeah, and we got him for 3 million, right? Which is beginning to seem like a bargain because there was talk about him maybe getting back in the England side. You're right about he's got this signature moved on. Yeah. Everybody knows what Callum is going to do.
Yeah,
because stopping him, you know, Liverpool couldn't stop it. I think he did it to you last year. He did it at Sheffield United. You know, He
Look
did
at the
to
keepers. He's
Bournemouth.
doing it to Alisson. Alisson didn't move. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Done
he
it to
didn't,
Alisson.
mate.
He
No.
didn't move. So listen,
No.
I'm happy for Callum, but obviously this weekend, listen, we're gonna,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah.
the first time he's coming back to the bridge now. Yes, I think it's the first.
Yeah, it will be, mate. Yeah.
Bridge. He wasn't at Forest yet when we played you early
No,
on in the
he came in at when did he come in? No, we played you in August last year. So we played you. We played you, Don. We had a horrendous away start last year. We played Arsenal, United, you, and City were our first four away games last year. And when we came to you, it was a lovely sunny day in August, and Callum hadn't signed. I think he came a week thereafter.
Yeah, I remember he wasn't playing that game, but yeah, Elanga dagger.
No.
But you know,
Absolutely.
listen, you mentioned that you've been watching the best player in the Prem right now. You know, I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans have been trying to push back on that because they don't like the fact that the new boy in town now is being, put up on a different sort of platform. What do you think about Chelsea so far, bro? Because I'm one that was bigging up Maresca. I was saying Maresca surprised a lot of people. I've done a lot of research on him, but as always, you're gonna get the same lazy takes about, championship manager? You lot have lost standards, and I kept saying, Dave, for me, look, as much as you want a winning manager, right? I don't think we're there yet to be getting a big name who wins, because the team needs a proper structure, and the team needs someone who knows what to do with the players that we've got. And for me, I believe Maresca is that person who understands the players that we've got and is going to be able to do quite well. What have you thought about Chelsea so far, bro?
Do you know what, Don? I think Chelsea are a bit of a revelation, mate, because all the portents at the start of the season and in the lead up to the season, with all the kind of bedlam that was going on around the actual playing bit of Chelsea, it was like there was stuff going on left, right, and centre, mate. There was bullets flying hither and thither, and you kind of think to yourself, I looked at Enzo Maresca and I kind of thought, is he going to, a couple of weeks into this task, is he going to think, blimey, Leicester actually was quite sweet, and I might have made the wrong move? But you know what, mate? I saw the first game against Manchester City, but that's Manchester City, and I kind of thought, Chelsea maybe. But from then on, I mean, they're third in the league now, and Enzo Maresca, to my way of thinking, deserves a hell of a lot of credit for proving those doubters who there's a snobbery. I think Tottenham have a snobbery about signing players from Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest and Burnley and having a manager from Celtic. And I think there's a lot of snobbery in maybe the bigger clubs thinking, well, why are we taking a guy from a championship side who, okay, they won the championship, but we should be looking. There are only so many people who've won Champions Leagues and played for Champions League clubs. But I think Enzo Maresca, what I liked about Enzo Maresca, he's been relatively in the background. He hasn't been front and centre. And Chelsea have got better and better from the Wolves game onwards, where they were just irresistible. They've become, they've gone on a terrific run and put good results together. I mean, last week, I still think the games, Don, are a little bit chaotic. They're fun to watch. Chelsea are now more fun to watch than they have been for a while, right? And you kind of think, if you're a neutral, and I've gone into games, apart from this weekend's, I'm not neutral this weekend, like you're not, but I've gone into other games thinking, well, what are Chelsea going to do? This could be 7 or 8 or 9, and yet Maresca doesn't seem that sort of guy, but he's got them. I think where Chelsea are, I think they're ahead of the game where I thought they would be, to be third. Whether they can maintain that, only time will tell. And you, like I said about Forest to a couple of people last night, I'll have an idea, more of a true idea about Forest at Christmas at the start of the next window. And I think the same applies to Chelsea. But with Chelsea, a bit like Forest in their own context, it's kind of so far so good. And I think for him to get them on the pitch and to play the kind of football they're playing, and it's very attack-centric, when in the midst of all this politicking and talk off the field about ownership and, this to and fro, I think he has become a pivot of calm in that club. There's all this stuff swirling around him, but he's a pivot of calm. And I think the lads in the Chelsea dressing room are buying into what he's doing. I think they may have had their reservations at first, but I get the feeling with Chelsea, with Noni Madueke and Cole and all the other guys, that they're buying into what he wants to do. I still think they need some more defensive stability. So they are more interesting to watch than I thought they'd be, and they're definitely ahead at Chelsea of where I thought they'd been. And Cole Palmer. I mean, let's be honest. If somebody said to, I didn't.
It's so funny that you mentioned Cole Palmer. He actually made his debut against you guys at the Bridge last year.
He did. And do you know what, Don? He was relatively quiet that day. And do you know what? I remember watching that.
He actually came on and created the most chances in that game in about 15, 20 minutes. He barely had time because he came off the bench.
He did. And do you know what, mate? I remember watching that game, and there's a little bit of me thinking, did you do the right thing to jump ship from City to go to Chelsea? But you know what? The kid he's proved me wrong. He's proved so many people wrong. What I love about him is he doesn't seem to care about anything. He cares about being a good footballer. He cares about doing well for Chelsea Football Club. Yeah. He cares about doing well for his teammates and his manager and the fans. But he doesn't care how big the game is. I mean, the kid scored in the Euros final and made it look like it was something he did every week. I don't.
That's the mentality that I'm talking about, because he knows how good he is, right? And that shows on the pitch. When you get to a certain level as a player where everything just comes natural to you, like the way I don't know if you remember the pass that he gave to Jackson last week, where he just literally first time went over the top like two players, dropped straight down to Jackson, perfect pass. That's what you just call natural ability, Dave. And I always tell people, my favorite type of players are players with a lot of natural ability. Morgan Gibbs White is a player that I like. Morgan Gibbs White. Yeah. He's got a lot of natural ability, and he puts up numbers too. But the thing that, looking at this game, previewing the game, like I said, last year we really struggled against low blocks because Poch just didn't know how to coach an attack. It was all about Cole Palmer FC. Give the ball to Cole, and he's the one that's going to have to get us out. If someone else turns up, it was just a improvised moment. But with Maresca, I see consistent patterns. I see us using our wingers a lot. I see us playing it through the midfield a lot. I see a lot of third man runs, right? And our bench, like what you're saying, our squad, we've got the likes of Neto can come off the bench, and Nkuku can come off the bench. Modric is starting to pick up a little bit of form now. Better now. In the past few games he's been playing. You've got Felix, you've got Dewsbury, you've got Carney. So many players. So even if the first team who started are not cutting it, you can bring someone else on to change the game. That's the difference right now. So for me, how I'm looking at this game, I just don't see how your quality is going to be able to hold us down for 90 minutes, because the sort of attacks, the sort of patterns I'm seeing, Dave, in the final third at the minute are very, very good and consistent. Jackson, for example, like I've said, he's another one that's, quite underrated last season, I would say. I know he's not the best in front of goal, but last week he had a few chances he kept missing. He looked very frustrated. I won't be surprised if tomorrow he comes out, or Sunday even, he comes out with a vengeance to say, I kept missing last week. I need to put myself back on the board, because Nkuku scored last night, right? Again, it's healthy in the team. I'm looking at Jackson. I'm looking at Madueke. I'm looking at Sancho on the left-hand side. Sancho has brought so much balance into the team. But Ola's on that side, and Ola, right back, left back, he locks everyone up. So Sancho's not going to have an easy game on that side. But overall, just looking at our team and our attack, Dave, I know at the back, defensively, we're improving. But let's be real, our attack is better than our defense. That's the reality right now. And for me, I do think our defense will keep improving. And there's something telling me that Chelsea are going to go sign a centre back in January, right? Because we've got owners that are ambitious. They want to go spend. If we're still up there, like you're saying, competing in January, we will go spend again to make sure we try and win the league, right? But like I said, how does that make you feel about our attack right now? Are you a bit cautious, or do you feel like your defense is going to hold it up a bit?
The bizarre thing is, Don, that obviously all the talk is about Cole Palmer at the moment, and my feeling is that what's likely to happen is we'll lock Cole Palmer up, but like Noni will go and do something, or Nicholas Jackson will do something, or Jadon Sancho will do something. You've got so many attacking options. I think, what you say is correct, that Chelsea's attack is a better unit than Chelsea's defence, and I think you're right. Come January, they'll go and look for somebody. I mean, a young Thiago Silva would be absolutely perfect. I mean, an old Thiago Silva was pretty good for so long. I mean, I remember you came to us, we played you New Year's Day a couple of years ago. We drew 1-1, and I thought he was the best player on the field. And he's about the same age I am, Don, and I'm knocking on a bit. But I just think at the weekend, I mean, if you put me on the spot for a scoreline, Don, I think it's going to be 3-2, because I don't think Forest are playing as much low block as they have done the last 2 seasons. I think this. I mean, when we went to Liverpool, he played very narrow and compact. Nuno did. He outthought Arne Slot on the day, and his idea was to stay in the game for as long as possible, frustrate Liverpool. And then what he did about the hour, he put Anthony Elanga on, and he put Callum Hudson-Odoi on. And then Forest started to stretch again. But Forest had a couple of chances before they scored, so Liverpool had warning. I think this game, Don, will be relatively similar to the game at our place at the end of last season, where it'll go back and forth because...
Who's been playing in your midfield, Dave? Who's been playing in your midfield?
Well, Danilo's injured. Ibrahim Sangari's injured, so those two won't be playing. It's been generally Ryan Yates has played there as a sort of an enforcer. Elliot Anderson's been in there, and Morgan. So it's sort of Yatesy and then Elliot Anderson, and then Morgan, and they sort of the transition between attack and defence now for Forest is better because Elliot Anderson. Before it was like 2 holding midfielders, and then there was this little bit of a hinterland between them two. And Morgan playing either with Chris Wood or Taiwo and the Y guys. Elliot Anderson is now kind of helping out Morgan a bit and helping out Yatesy a bit. So I think those should be the 3 midfield.
And I think our midfield right now, look, I'll be honest with you, like our team is starting to understand what's expected from Maresca.
Yeah.
Right? Because we attack as a 5. But what happens is because we tend to have Enzo as the furthest midfielder. Well, you've got Palmer, the furthest midfielder. Then Enzo tends to be a little bit further up than Caicedo. Then you've got Caicedo in build-up. At the minute, Lavia is actually back, so he might start the game, which is going to make it interesting. If he starts the game, that probably means that Caicedo will probably drop to the bench because I've noticed that Enzo is obviously our captain at the minute. He seems to have to be playing in every single lineup because he's the captain. And to be fair to him, he's picked up form, you know? But the problem I've had in that midfield is because when we attack as a 5, right, when it's time to defend, it is a little bit sticky at times for Enzo when he's got to drop back into shape and whatnot. Caicedo, as you saw against West Ham, was breaking up a lot of play to stop those fighters on a counter-attack. But against Elanga, against Morgan Gibbs-White, against Hudson-Odoi, these guys, when they're running at you, they've got quality. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the likes of Morgan, the likes of Hudson-Odoi, they've got good end product. You know, Elanga, for me, I think is improving, but his end product's hit and miss. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
that's what scares me. That's what scares me about you guys. Just on the transition, I saw what you did to Brighton. It does scare me a bit because I've seen us being got out on the transition, man. Yeah,
and if you take the equalising goal at Brighton, Dom, when we came from 2-1 down to be 2-2, that wasn't Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. That was Jota Silva and Ramon Sousa. You know, it was a beautiful goal where they broke the high line. So we've got options on the wing. Chuck in as well. I think he might play tomorrow. James Ward-Prowse. Now, you know, there's a lad. I'm just a bit that we've got him.
You know what? I didn't even realize, because I was thinking, wait, this guy was at West Ham. Then I remember seeing the Ornstein bomber about him going Forest, but I just kind of brushed it. I thought, he's not going to go. And I'm seeing him in the kit last week as well.
And James has played pretty well since he's come in. He's not sort of uprooted any trees, but you know, a guy of that experience. You know, he's been an international footballer, brilliant dead ball guy to have about. He always gives you that option when you've got a free kick, and I think his experience has just helped Forest, the rest of the lads, to sort of come to some kind of. I think both teams, Don. Both teams are developing structures and identities that they might not have had a few months ago, I think. I just think the level of quality that Chelsea have been able to bring in is above the level of quality with Forest. But I don't think there'll be as much. Forest are not going to come and park the bus, I don't think. I think Nuno himself wants to evolve from under Steve Cooper. That's what we did. We spent 2 seasons, Don, basically in games going, you know, please don't hit us, and then trying to hit on the counter. I think Nuno wants us. I think what's been noticeable for me in the games I've been to is that Forest have been more of an aggressor this season than they have in previous seasons. Now, the thing with that is, and this is the kind of the dilemma that faces Nuno on Sunday, is it's all well and good Forest being proactive and taking the game to Chelsea, but Chelsea have got the wherewithal to hit and exploit any gaps. You know, so. I actually think, Don, I think it's going to be quite a high-scoring game. I think Chelsea will win it.
If you do come out and play, Dave, I just think we've got too much quality. Honestly, these boys, like I said, we can just inject even more off the bench, right?
Yeah, you can, mate. Yeah,
the players that with the squad that we've got, and I kept talking about this in pre-season, Dave. I said, for me, we've got a better squad than Liverpool, right? And I'm saying, I've already said about having a better squad than Arsenal, because Arsenal got the smallest squad in the league. right? They might have a better 11 because they're more of a team. But when you look at their bench in comparison to ours, you look at Liverpool's bench in comparison to ours, the attack is night and day. Do you get it?
Yeah.
They've got
absolutely.
like Sterling on their bench that have left Chelsea, ironically. Whilst we've got guys like Neto that they wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And do you know what, Don? I think where Maresca deserves the most credit is he was, he was given like all the toys at Christmas. He was spoilt for choice. And the fact is, mate, that Enzo, with very little fanfare really, and a fair amount of skepticism about his ability, has kind of decided, right, I think he's getting nearer to what he believes is Chelsea's best starting 11. I think he's closer to that point. I think most of us, Don, who watch football generally and watch Chelsea, certainly me from afar, you were kind of thinking, it's going to take him at least till Christmas to kind of know what his best 11 is. So Enzo Maresca is further ahead in that task than he might, and he deserves immense credit for that. And I think, I don't know what's going on, but I always get the feeling with him. He said to the people out, running the club, look, just stay out of the way. Let me sort the football out, and I'll make something out of it. And I think, given that he was a Championship manager last season, for him to come in and do that, I think you're right. I think he's he's stewarding Chelsea to a point where they'll want to bring in, a supposed big name. But I think what I've seen of them, certainly from an attacking point of view, I mean, that day at Wolves, it kind of came out the blue, really. But on the day, they were just irresistible. I mean, I think Noni Madueke...
We've scored 17 goals in our last 5 games. We scored 4 goals. We scored 4 goals yesterday with our second team. Then we scored... how many did we score the weekend again against Brighton? We scored 4 against Brighton.
4 against Brighton, yeah.
4 against Brighton. The game before that, we scored 5. Yeah, so we scored 9 goals in a week, basically.
Yeah.
We've scored 17 in 5. We've scored the most goals in the Prem. That's what I'm saying. Like, even though defensively we're not perfect right now, our attack is outscoring teams, especially the smaller teams. And for me, the main reason why we're going to get top 4, if we do get top 4, which we should, right, is because of the smaller teams. We need to be picking up W's. We kept losing against the smaller teams last year. We lost to West Ham, we lost to Forest, we lost to Brentford. You know what I'm saying? We lost to, Brighton. We beat them twice, to be fair. We lost to Newcastle. I know Newcastle kind of get looked at as the top 6 these days, but we lost to them away as well. So we need to make sure that these games are business as usual. I like what Forest are doing. I hope you guys stay up. You've got a few Chelsea boys, like I've said. So I do hope that you stay up.
All I would say, Don, is logic suggests at the weekend that Chelsea win the game. Home advantage. They'll know that Forest have come the last 2 seasons. I'm sure Maresca will have said, look, Forest have been here last 2 seasons and gone away with something from the game. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. So 99% of me, Don, thinks Chelsea win. But we kind of went to Anfield with the same mindset. And Don, all I'm saying, I'm just planting a little seed there, Don. The tiniest seed, right? And Don, whether you accept it or not is your business. But that tiny seed for Chelsea.
I'll come in peace. I'm not taking the piss. Because right now, Dave, I'm just enjoying game by game. I'm enjoying. And the thing is, last season, because we've only lost 2 games all year, right? Following last season as well. 2024, we picked up a lot of form, but it didn't feel like it because Cole Palmer kept saving us. We were playing shit, but we're winning games, drawing games because Cole Palmer keeps saving us. But now I'm actually enjoying going to games. Like I said, I'm there on Sunday. I'm enjoying it because I'm seeing that we're building a proper team. We're not Cole Palmer empty, right?
No.
So what's your prediction for the weekend, bro? Before we finish up, man.
Chelsea 3, Nottingham Forest 2.
Oh, if you're gonna put 2 past us, okay.
I just think. I mean, Don, all I would say is that for all Brighton's high line and the fact that they basically left themselves wide open to Chelsea, they did score a couple. So I do think.
True.
I think
Sanchez tax. That's Sanchez tax.
yeah. I do think that. I think we'll create some chances, but I just think Chelsea will create more chances. The only thing, if I was a Chelsea fan going to this game on Sunday, and I'm empathising with our opponents' fan base, is this lot did win at Anfield when they had no right to win at Anfield. And if you think around that win at Anfield, Liverpool have just pretty much buried everybody else.
Yep.
And that's just it. But obviously, Hearts is Nottingham Forest. It always will, Don. I've got a beating Garibaldi red heart. but my head says that Chelsea will win 3-2 in an entertaining game, mate.
I'm gonna say, do you know what? I'm thinking we're gonna score 3 goals as well. I'm gonna say, because there's a few issues. Sanchez, Bozo, you know, the centre back, someone could just do something crazy. I'm gonna say 3-1. I think we're gonna outscore you, but I don't know about keeping a clean sheet. Last time I was at the Bridge, we didn't keep a clean sheet. So until they can prove to me that we can keep clean sheets at home, I'm gonna predict a 3-1, man. But Dave, listen, love for coming on, man. That flew by. Let people know where they can find you, man.
I don't have a YouTube channel, Dom. I'm a bit of like a cuckoo in the nest. I just kind of end up in other people's houses, if you like, say me piece about Forest and speak about football, and then disappear. To be honest, I haven't got the time to do a YouTube channel. I think it's a younger man's game. You lads, what you do is fantastic. I love being on. I'm on 12th man every week, so I love the Potsy's community. It's a great thing to be part of. I'm on Door on Tour quite a lot because Mr. Door, Forest legend, he's a good friend of mine. I go to all the games with him. So maybe as I get into my sort of 70s and 80s, I'm 60 now. When I get a bit older, Don, maybe I'll do something from an old folks home or something. But no, I just go on shows. Honestly, it's a privilege and a pleasure to be invited on shows like this, Don, and to talk with you, mate. Always knowledgeable about football. So yeah, I'm Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
No worries, people. But listen, we need to make sure, Chelsea, we need to make sure we pick up all 3 points because international break soon. I don't want to be sitting around waiting an extra week or 2 weeks even, waiting for the next game. Because the next game after that, we're going to be going to Anfield this time. And you know we haven't won in a while. You know what I'm saying? But people, make sure you lot are smashed up the likes as always. Make sure that you're subscribing to the channel like I've said. We'll see you lot on Sunday, man. Love.